Welcome back to Limitless and Unfiltered. My name is Maria DeCarmo. I will be your podcast host for today. Today, I want to bring forth a topic that is near and dear to my heart. I feel like they all are near and dear to our hearts, but this one is something that I personally have experienced, have gone through, and so I wanted to bring it to you because I feel like I wish I would have had this when I was going through all of the emotions, all of the things in my heart. And so I want to be that for you. I want to help you navigate the things that, I went through. So it's going to be a little bit of a different podcast. I'm going to do a lot of things with you that are going to hopefully inspire you to take some action and to be bold in the actions that you do take and stop, underplaying yourself. So I want you to take a deep breath with me. Okay. Just one. So deep in, and I know you're listening to this, so do it with me. Okay. Deep in, hold it, and out. Now I want you to let that noise settle. I know you've got 1,000 tabs open in your mind right now, and trust me, I do too. That's essentially the world that we live in, isn't it? Constant motion, endless demands, responsibilities that never quite clock out. But I want to invite you to pause right here, right now with me. Now, obviously, if you're driving in the car, this is going to be a mental pause. But if you have the chance to sit down and just truly pause, just take a little pause with me, okay? You can come back to all of those things that we just talked about, all of your tabs. You can come back to all of that in a few minutes. But this moment is yours, and I want it to be that way because I want to talk to you about something that's absolutely sacred. It's been sacred to me, and I want to share it with you. It's something we don't say out loud enough, and I want to talk about that dream that you keep thinking about, but you're paralyzed. The one that you keep visiting in quiet moments when you're doing the dishes or when you're driving the car or laying awake at 2 in the morning wondering if you missed your moment. You know the one. Okay, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It tugs at you, it nudges at you, and it whispers, there's more for you. And then you shake it off. Okay, you come back to reality. You remind yourself to be practical, responsible, grateful, all the things that society tells us. You essentially tell yourself that dream was for another version of you. And that version could have been a younger you, a braver you, maybe even a more naive you. But I'm here to tell you that that dream is still yours. And newsflash, it's not going to go anywhere because my friends, dreams don't die. Okay. They get buried under layers of life, but they're still breathing. And if you're feeling the pull to remember it again and again and again, if you're feeling pulled to return to it, to finally move toward it, then you're exactly where you need to be. So I want to take you there. Let's go there. Let's talk about what happens when we bury our dreams, why we do it, and how to dig them up again, and what it really means to take that leap of faith in yourself, even when you feel like it might be too late. So let me tell you a little story. I remember standing in my kitchen in my old home, and there was like my kitchen used to face my backyard, and it was like kitchen. If you can picture this, it was the kitchen counter, and then a dining room table, like a circular dining room table, and then I could see my backyard. And I remember when I would do laundry in that house, I would bring the laundry basket down and I would set it onto that dining room table. And I remember standing there with the laundry basket, looking out the window while I was folding it, and the house was quiet. One of my kids was occupied, and the other one was napping, and my phone was on the counter. I wasn't talking to anybody. Like I wasn't working. I wasn't scrolling. I was literally just folding laundry, and then out of nowhere, I started to cry, and not the cute like single tear kind of cry where you kind of feel emotional and you kind of let out a few tears. No, this was like a full body, throat tightening, like grief soaked kind of cry, full blown. And it was because it hit me. I couldn't remember the last time that I had thought about what I wanted, not what I needed to get done, because that I do every single day, not when someone else needed from me, the 2 kids, my husband, my family, not what I was supposed to do, but what I wanted. It wasn't that I was unhappy, guys. Like, it really wasn't. My life was full. Okay. It's still full. It was beautiful in many ways. Such a beautiful time. But I was essentially disconnected from myself, from the part of me that used to dream, the version of me who believed she was here to do something meaningful in life. And I don't know if you've ever felt that, but it's like an ache. And that question whispering from the inside, like, is this all that there is? And I know I talk about this a lot on my own social media, and I always say, like, part of my story and the reason why I've been able to achieve the things that I've achieved is because I had this moment of, is this it? Now, I want you to understand that this is not an ungrateful question. If you have this question or if you've asked yourself this, it's not selfish. It's actually a sacred thing to ask yourself. I feel like a lot of people don't get the opportunity to ask themselves this. And when you do, if you do, that's a sacred moment for you, because the truth is, my friends, so many women walk around living on autopilot day in, day out. Okay. They're doing everything for everyone. They're wearing 100 different hats. But truthfully, underneath it all, they're holding a dream that they're too afraid to say out loud because of many reasons. It could be, societal expectations. It could be unsupportive spouse, unsupportive family members, unsupportive friends. It could be fear. So there's a lot of things that really hold you back and holds those dreams back. Okay, so let's say maybe you wanted to write the book. Okay, maybe you wanted to start the business or move across the country or leave the current job that you're in. You want to change your life drastically. But the minute that you entertain that thought, the inner critic shows up with a massive megaphone and says subconsciously, like, who do you think you are? Or it says you don't have time for that, or it's too late. Be realistic. Things like you should be just grateful for what you have, right? All of those things come crashing into our heads when we start thinking about, like, wanting to achieve our dreams or wanting to go after the thing, and all of these like inner voices start talking. So once you hear those inner voices, you start to bury all of that again, and you go back to folding the laundry. You pour up another cup of coffee or beverage of your choice, and then you get back to being, quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes here, you get back to being productive. But the reality is, my friends, that the dream never really goes away, does it? Okay? Because here's the truth. Desire is not random, it's divine data. So the thing that you keep circling back to, like the one that you can't stop imagining for yourself, that's not fantasy. That's your calling on repeat. The things that keep tugging on your soul, those are not distractions, they're directions. We just fail to see them that way. So what if you started treating your dream like it was a message and not a mistake? What if the life that you're craving isn't actually a fantasy, but what if you looked at it as a compass pointing you essentially home to yourself? Okay? So let me ask you something, guys. What dream have you stopped saying out loud? I want you to take a little pause and like truly ask yourself that. Like what dream have you just stopped going to? Stop saying? What dream do you feel in your bones but are too afraid to claim it as already yours? We all have it. And then I want you to ask yourself, what are you pretending not to want because wanting it feels dangerous? And by dangerous, I mean like fear or all of the things that we mentioned above that, right? Like all of the things that I've said before. Okay? Now, are you afraid of failing or of being seen wanting something so deeply that you go on a pursuit to achieve it? Are you afraid of being seen? When did you actually start believing that your dreams were optional? And I think that that's something that we all have to really reflect on, because I feel like as we age, there's this thing that's like, oh, as you age, you get more mature. And somehow along the lines, maturity became something of like putting your dreams on a shelf and forgetting about them, right? It's like, when did all of this shift? Was it after a heartbreak or after a job loss? Maybe for some women that like it came after the baby, or when you felt burnt out. Like, what was it? Someone who you trusted told you to be more realistic. Like, did you share your dream with someone and someone was like, you really, like, that's not real life. You have to be realistic. Have you had someone say that to you? Or was it when you tried and failed and promised yourself you wouldn't get hurt like that again? Because let me tell you, I get it. I've lived all of those moments too, but here's what I need you to know. You are not too late, you are not too much, and you are not too far behind. Your dream is not dead, it's just dormant. Okay? Truly, it's just dormant. And maybe today you're not being called to leap. Maybe you're just being called to remember that you have the dream and you landed on this podcast episode for a reason. So I'm going to assume that it's because of that, right? You're being called to remember. So I want to do that with you together. Okay? I want to move from inspiration to activation because nothing changes unless you do. I know it's a hard pill for some people to swallow, but let me repeat that. Nothing changes unless you do. So I'm going to give you a few tangible things that you can start doing literally today, like right now, even in the middle of your messy, busy, imperfect life or thinking that you don't have the time. You can start doing these things today. Okay. The first is I want you to name the dream out loud. I know this is going to sound kind of funny if you've never done something like this, but I want you to write it down on a piece of paper. Okay. I want you to whisper it to yourself. I want you to text your dream to your best friend. I want you to say it to yourself in the mirror. Anything. But I want you to name it. Because what you don't name, you cannot claim. Okay, so no more vague hoping. None of that. Be honest with yourself. So for example, I want to start a coaching business. I want to create art again. I want financial freedom. I want to leave this relationship. I want to stop pretending that I'm fulfilled when I'm actually not. And I want you to get as specific as possible, but I want you to name your dream out loud. You need to do it. And truthfully, guys, if you write it down on a piece of paper, I promise you, has a lot more impact in your life. I want you to write all these things down. I want you to be specific and I want you to be honest because honesty is the birthplace of clarity. So you need to speak it or stay stuck. I'm going to give you another thing that you can do right away. You can even do this right now. Ask yourself the breakthrough question. And that breakthrough question is, what would I do if I trusted myself? And I want you to let that question guide you every single day of your life. Not what makes the most sense in this journey. I don't want you to ask yourself, what will everyone else think? I know it's hard, but trust me, you need to stop thinking about that. I also don't want you to think, what's the responsible thing for me to do? I'm not telling you to be irresponsible. I'm just telling you that that's not the approach that I want you to take. The approach is, what would I do if I trusted myself? Because if I fully trusted myself, what would I do? Let the answer rise up in your brain. Let the answer rise up in your heart and then write it down and act on it, even in a small way. So how are those small ways? You need to start finding brave things to do in short term. So I want you to do one brave thing in the next 24 hours. Not 5, not perfect. I don't want you to plan it all out. I just want you to pick one thing that's going to move the needle forward in those dreams that have been sitting in the back of your mind and that somehow this podcast episode is bringing it up to you again. Okay? So again, pick one thing in the next 24 hours to do. One. That could be booking the call, posting the message, opening up the blank document to start typing, register your domain name, sign up for the course, ask for support, ask for babysitting help. Okay? Do you understand where I'm going with this? One brave thing for you to do. Tiny imperfect action beats endless preparation every single time, my friends. Every single time. Fear doesn't mean you stop. It means you're going somewhere new. And I think that is where people get stuck, is that as soon as they start to feel the fear, they retract, they pull back, they stop, they push on that brake. And what I need you to understand is that you need to feel the fear and do it anyway. Something that we talked about on this podcast multiple times is auditing your environment, okay? And that your environment is so many things. It could be the people around you, it could be the things that you are consuming on social media, it could be, the TV that you're listening to, the shows that you're watching, the music that you're listening to, all of it. I need you to audit your environment. If you are someone who's listening to this podcast and something is resonating here, because clearly you have a dream that keeps arising in your head and your heart, and somehow you've let it go. I'm going to give you these tips. I'm giving you these tips to help you in your journey to relive that fire within you in order to be able to chase that. Guys, I've been in this position, and these are the things that truly help me. I get all these questions all the time about how it is that I do all the things that I do without burning out, and this is essentially my blueprint that I'm sharing with you. So I need you to audit your environments, okay? So look around you. Who are you surrounding yourself with? How many times have we heard you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with? So if you looked around at the 5 people that you spend most of your time with right now, who are they? And what are you surrounding yourself with? What are you consuming daily? TV, music, news, social media. What is it that you are absorbing? What voices are louder than your own? And what I mean by this is who is influencing you to either rise you up and make you feel like you are on top of the world and can achieve things, or are the voices that you're listening to that are louder than yours, telling you that you can't do something, or that you're too late for something, or to be more realistic? Like, who are those voices that are louder than you, and do they have a positive impact in your life, or do they have a negative impact in your life? Because if everyone around you is playing small and settling and staying stuck in their life, of course you're going to question your ambition. Your dream cannot survive in a room full of people who don't believe in dreaming. Plain and simple. Okay? So clean it up. Curate your spaces, start following people on social media who are living in integrity with the kind of life that you want. If you would not change your life for somebody else's life, specifically those who are giving you feedback that doesn't make you feel good and doesn't push you to achieve your dreams, that are not inspiring you to take action, like if you're not going to change if you wouldn't change your life with theirs, why are you listening to them? Why are you listening to them? You need to start curating your environment to people who either have already achieved the thing that you want to achieve or are on the journey to bettering themselves every single day in order for you to feed off of that energy as well. Okay. And one of the last things that I'm going to share with you guys, because truthfully, I think I've covered this on multiple podcast episodes. And the reason that I've done this, that I've covered it on so many episodes, is because I truly believe in this. It is how I've kept everything organized in my life. And I'm not saying that everything is perfect, because, things can change and shift, but reclaiming your calendar is so important, because you show me your calendar and I'll show you your priorities. And when I was told that first a while ago, I'm not going to lie, I shit my pants. Okay, because my coach at the time said, show me your calendar and I'm going to show you the level of success that you have. And my calendar, my friends, yeah, it was messy. It was non-existent. The things that were on there truly weren't priorities for me. I wasn't prioritizing the things that would move my needle forward, that would make me want to take action in order to achieve the dreams that I had in my heart and in my mind. So look at your calendar and audit your calendar. Does your time reflect the woman that you want to become? Or man, whoever's listening to this. All right. Does your time reflect the vision of you that you want to become? And if it doesn't, you need to start scheduling your dream like it matters. Because even if it's just 20 minutes a day, that is going to change everything for you. You need to protect that time like your life depends on it, because your soul might. You don't find time for your dream. You make time for your dream, or it doesn't happen. I have so many people tell me, like, I don't have enough hours in the day. I can't find the time to work out. I can't find the time to work my business because I have an online business and I also have my regular 9 to 5 job, and I just don't have the time to do that. Blah, blah, blah. Blah. You don't find time. You make the time. And I know that's a hard pill for some people to swallow because specifically moms, this is no shade to you because I'm a mom too. And guys, I did this. I did this before and I'm sharing what's worked for me. So in the hopes that it will work for you. But I also used all of the excuses. Well, I have a newborn baby. Well, I have, I'm leaving my 6 month old to go back to work early. So I don't have time because by the time that I leave my baby and pumping and breastfeeding and then going to work and then coming home and then having to do the laundry, having to do the cooking, having to get back to my baby, oh, I don't have time. Well, you do have time. You're just not prioritizing it. And here's the thing, the difference that separates successful people from non-successful people, and by the way, success is that definition is different for everyone. But what I'm trying to say is if you're sitting there in the position of like, I know that I want to do something different, I know that I want to change my life, but you're using the excuse of not having enough time, well, let me tell you that you just need to make the time. You need to make the time. My dad always said something to my brothers and I while we were growing up, and especially when we were getting older and we would ask for permission to like go hang out with friends or like go to the movies or go to Canada's Wonderland, whatever it was, my dad would have like a list of things that we had to accomplish before he would give us the okay to go to all of these things, to go out, to hang out with our friends, right? And essentially it was a chore list. But sometimes, as we got older, that list got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I remember once saying to my dad, like, Dad, we're finishing school and we're coming home on a Friday, and like, how do you expect us to do all of this before, giving us permission to go out with our friends? And my dad would say, well, here's the thing, you leave everything for the last minute. Of course, you're going to be overwhelmed, but you can find the time because you make the time to fit everything in. You do have the time. You're just not being smart about it. And that stuck with me forever. So, anyways, I'm a little bit rambling on here. I want to leave you with a few questions and I want you to journal them, maybe voice note them, bring them into your quiet time. These questions are not easy questions, but they will open something in you as they did for me. And if you need someone to like keep you accountable and you want to share that, these answers to these questions, I am more than happy to listen to them. I love voice notes and I love listening to other people's dreams, desires, journal reflections, because I think there's power in group settings and there's power in trusting other people. So anyways, my messages are always going to be open, but I want to leave you with a couple of questions, okay? If you're sitting listening to this, then maybe you can reflect on these internally right now, but I would highly suggest that you journal them. So here we go. The first one is, what have I been pretending not to want? It's a good one. Number 2, what am I waiting for before I give myself permission to begin? You ever heard the preparing to prepare? Always preparing to prepare. Hand up, I was there. I used to do that all the time. Always had to research more, always had to learn more before I actually jumped in. Okay. Number 3, what part of me do I need to forgive before I can move forward? This one's a real deep one. I want you to dig really deep into your soul and figure out what part of you haven't forgiven that's potentially stunting that growth. What would it look like to believe I'm already worthy of the life that I want? Where am I outsourcing my authority, essentially waiting for someone else to tell me I'm ready? That's a good one. Because sometimes, my friends, we are outsourcing our authority to our children as mothers. Oh, well, I can't do something because my kids aren't old enough. When they're older, I'll be able to have more time. I'll be able to have more clarity. I'll be able to focus on myself more. You're outsourcing your authority to your children at that point. So I just gave you a little example there. If you don't have kids, I promise you are outsourcing your authority to someone else to give you that green light to be ready. And then the last question is, what's one thing I can do today to honor my dream, even just a little bit? One action step. These questions are not easy at all. I want you to dig deep because I want you to succeed. This podcast is called Limitless and Unfiltered because I am unfiltered. And we are here to show you the possibilities that you have within you if you just started believing in yourself. And once you start doing that, you will realize how limitless we truly are. You still with me in this podcast? Good. Okay, because this is the part where I remind you that you are not alone in this. Okay, I've walked this road. I know Jenny has walked this road. I'm still walking in it. Okay, and so is Jenny. This space, this podcast, it exists because we finally got sick of waiting for perfection and we said yes. Even when we were scared, even when we felt behind, even when our voice shook because we didn't know what we were doing. And that is all that we are inviting you to do today. Okay? One small yes, one tiny flame of belief, one courageous move. That dream that you keep thinking about, it's yours for a reason, my friend. Not because it's easy, not because it'll be quick. Okay, there's no timeline here, but it's there because it's yours. So don't bury it again. Don't numb it out. Okay, don't wait until life slows down or someone gives you permission or your kids get older. You go first. The dream will meet you there. And until next time, my friend, I want you to keep breathing. I want you to keep moving forward. And above all, I want to keep believing in that quiet voice inside of you that says, there's more for me and I'm allowed to want it. Have a good one.